Hey everyone, welcome back in the kitchen where there is always something crazy going on. In this house, never a dull moment, always something. Been doing a lot of cooking, been doing a lot of writing, working on recipes, kids in school, 100% virtual learning, all kinds of running around. Believe it or not, it's fun. I like it. Keeps me busy, keeps me moving. I enjoy it and I get to look forward to this. I love this. We get together on the weekends, cook a big meal. Hope you all enjoy it as much as I do because I truly get a kick out of it. So for today, the other day I was going through messages and I got a message from a friend asking me about cooking pork roast, which first of all, thank you for the questions and the messages and emails. I get a kick out of reading them, and I really get a kick out of getting questions like this and trying to figure out how to answer them and solve problems and maybe write or change a recipe. So thank you for that. But we were writing about cooking pork roast and how to keep it from drying out. So naturally, I start thinking about that process, which makes me start thinking about pork roast, which makes me want to eat one. So now I want to cook one. So today we are going to make a pork roast and we are going to answer that question of how to cook something like this without drying it out. And believe it or not, it is not hard to do. Once again, it is something that requires attention and fairly simple to make it taste great. So we are going to make, this is a 2-pound pork roast, well trimmed, not a lot of fat at all. There's a thin layer on the bottom, which you do want, great for cooking, but otherwise really, really lean piece of pork roast. And I have already gone ahead, turned on the oven and preheated it to 425 degrees. Yes, 425. And I'm going to show you how we're going to get started cooking at that level, and then we are going to bring the temperature of the oven down and allow it to take a little longer for the meat to finish cooking. There are two ways to keep something like this from drying out. Number one, you can lower the heat, make it take a little longer to cook, but it does prevent the number two, which is overcooking. That's the 100% way to dry out a pork roast, because it's pork and everyone assumes it's got to be cooked really well done, and it's got to be, when you cut it open, you can't see any pink in the middle, that way it's safe to eat. That's no longer the case. You can cook pork roast to a minimum internal temperature of 145 degrees, which is around the pink color on the inside, kind of a medium look. And that's safe to eat. Now, we like to cook it a little bit longer, so what you want to watch when you're cooking something like this is the internal temperature. Between 145 and 160, if you pull it out anywhere in there, it's perfect. And it's perfectly juicy. It won't be dried out at all because it will not be undercooked. And that's it. It is that simple. See? Wasn't that fun? So, let's make one. Not hard. There are multiple ways to do this. Some take a little bit longer than others. What we are going to do today, we are going to mix these spices together to create our own rub. Cover the roast in it, put it on a rack, on a pan, and put it in the oven, and that's it. So, first and foremost, you want to get out the spices that you want to use. When doing something like this, doing it in this fashion, where we're going to mix the spices, rub down the roast, and then cook it, you don't want a lot of sweet, in my opinion. You want more savory. So I'm not going to be using any brown sugar today or anything like that. Not to say that you can't. I personally am not going to. I want some more savory flavors and a lot more kick. Because along with the juiciness of the pork, I like those flavors to cook in and really create a powerful finish. You know, very, very easy to do. So first and foremost, I've got right here kosher salt and ground black pepper. I'm going to pour those into a bowl. Sweet basil, sweet basil. You can buy different types of dried basil. That one is a sweet basil blend, so there's a lot of different strong aromatic flavors in there that I really, really like, and that'll be the extent of the sweetness today, if you will. I've got sage, ground sage, dried rosemary, garlic powder, and onion powder. Garlic powder and onion powder. And for the record, I'm going to list in the comments below how much of each one of these, because it's a lot to list out. So I'll put it all there so you have it there. But for the most part, it was pretty much 1 teaspoon of everything, except for the garlic powder, that was 1 tablespoon, and the ground black pepper, that was half a teaspoon. Otherwise, everything was 1 whole teaspoon. And like I said, I'll list it in the comments, so when you go down to the comment section, you'll see it all there along with the instructions. That's right where the subscribe button is. So click that for me real quick. Have you done that yet? If you haven't, click that subscribe button. Make sure your notifications are on. It's right below where the comments are. Well, you'll see all these ingredients. So I've got all that done. Next, we're going to go ahead and spread the seasoning out along the roast and just rub it on generously. I want to use all of it. Believe it or not, I'm going to use all of this. This was a dry roast, by the way. I had taken it out of the fridge earlier, patted it down with paper towels so it was nice and dry, and I've let it sit out for about the last 45 minutes. I know that might sound crazy, but the best way to cook something like this is at room temperature. You want it to start at room temperature. Don't take it directly out of the fridge and then put it in the oven. It doesn't cook the same. You lose a lot of moisture, believe it or not. Very, very true. So don't do that. Let it sit out at room temperature for a while before it goes in the oven. Now, I said there was more than one way to do this, which there are obviously multiple ways to cook something, and multiple spices and herbs you can use. But the other thing you can do, and I said it takes a little longer, is you could take all of the seasonings that I had just put in this bowl and put them in a gallon Ziploc bag with 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Put the roast in there, mix it all together in the bag, and then set it in the fridge for about 3 or 4 hours and let it marinate in there. You can do that as well. It's just another way to do it. I am going to flip it over and I'm going to rub some of this on the fat on the bottom. Let's get all of it. Get as much as we can and get it on there. See that? Oh, that's beautiful. Now, just a little on the bottom, just a little for flavor. That's it. It is completely covered. The next thing we're going to do is put it on our rack, the fat side down. Fat side down on the rack. So I took a baking sheet and I got a wire rack. Don't put it directly down on the baking sheet. It doesn't cook as evenly. The bottom will scorch. It'll stick. You don't want that. Let it be up on the rack like this so you can get everywhere evenly cooked. And I don't have aluminum foil underneath on purpose. I want as much liquid and drippings that come off at the end as I can. We'll make a little gravy to put on top. The last thing we're going to do before we put it in the oven, do you have one of these? This is so cool. This is a oil spritzer. I'm going to spray this down with extra virgin olive oil. How cool is that? You pump it, then you spray. If you don't have one of these, you really should get one. Got this on Pampered Chef. These are great. If you don't have something to spray olive oil on with, you could just take some olive oil, pour it on, and just lightly wipe it down with olive oil. All over the top. All over. Great, great stuff. More flavor there. Oh, yes. Now, oiled, seasoned, and it is going in the oven. 425 degrees. And I'm going to cook that for 15 minutes. Give or take. Yeah, give or take. Now, closer to 15 minutes. We're going to cook it at 425. Once we hit that mark, I'm going to take a look. It's going to start to brown the top, sear in all those flavors and juices, and I'm going to lower the oven after that to 325 and cook it for an additional 20 to 25 minutes. A good rule of thumb is about 25 minutes per pound at anywhere between 325 and 350. So I'm going to go down to 325 and we'll start going into the 20-minute mark, and we'll check the temperature. And I want to get that thing up to about 155, 150, 155, and then I'm going to take it out of the oven. That's it. Just got to keep an eye on the clock now. Piece of cake. Let's go ahead and take a look. Wow. Beautiful. You can hear a little sizzle in there. Gone ahead and lowered the temperature to 325 degrees. And we are going to let this go. 25 minutes per pound. So let's see how we're doing. An additional 22 minutes. Whew. Normally, wouldn't want to take it out for too long, but we do want to go ahead and check this temperature. See where we are. And like I said at the beginning, this is the most important thing when you're cooking something like this. The way to dry it out is to overcook it. You do not want that temperature to get too high. So right now, 127 degrees. Which makes perfect sense. As I said, about 25 minutes per pound, and that one was coming close to 2 pounds, so we need to give it some more time. So at 127 degrees, we give it another 15 minutes or so, we should be right where we want to be. Let's go ahead and set the timer. I believe we have done it. Right. Whoa. Man, that is a beautiful roast. You hear that sizzling? Whoa, yes. Okay, final temperature check. See where we are. 150. Perfect. So, here's what we do next. I'm going to take this off of here, put it on a plate. Meat claws. How cool are these? I tell you, I love kitchen gadgets. Any and every kitchen gadget I can get my hand on. So I put that on a plate and I'm going to cover it and wrap it in foil like a little tent and allow this to rest for about the next 20 minutes. Why? Because I want to let that cool down? Absolutely not. It's so all the juices can soak in, everything settle, let the meat rest. It will slowly cook up just a little bit more, but you let it sit for about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes before you slice. And now, this is the perfect time to put together your side dishes, depending on what you're going to have. If you're having mashed potatoes, for example, would have started boiling the potatoes a little earlier in the process, and now this would be the perfect time to whip those together. You can also take this time to make some gravy to pour on top, and that's what we're going to do. That's why I took it off the pan and put it on a plate. While there's not much there, we're going to go ahead and scrape those little bit of drippings right there into a pan and make a nice little gravy. Super easy. All right, let's do it. Let's make a nice little gravy. Taking that pan, still a little warm. Yeah, that's pretty hot. Now you see there's not much here. That roast was only 1.5 pounds, and it was nice and trim, nice and lean. So you don't have too much, but I want to get every little bit I can get for the flavor. I put it in a saute pan, medium heat. And so I'm taking the drippings that I can get, and we're going to drop in a tablespoon of butter and let that start to get hot. And while that's getting hot and melting down, we'll go ahead, scrape off the last little bit. Take a look. See, this doesn't take long. You see that? Huh? This is a fantastic process. You know, a lot of fun. Because you see just that little bit of dripping I got. Oven's dinging. Like I said, I'm always cooking something. So that little bit of dripping is going to give us all the flavor we need. So as the butter is melting, we're going to go ahead and drop in 3 tablespoons of flour and just move it around with the butter. And see, it's clumping, and that's fine. That's okay. But the butter is melting, so I know it's getting hot. Not too hot. But just let it move around a little bit. And the last thing we're going to add to this, well, major ingredient wise, I have got 1 cup of chicken broth mixed with a 1/2 cup of dry white wine. Chicken broth and dry white wine. And that's it. I'm going to whisk it all together really, really well. I want to get rid of the lumps. And we're going to bring this to a low boil. Butter, drippings, white wine, and chicken broth. Fantastic gravy. Oh, pour this over that pork. It's going to be so good. Now we're going to go ahead and let this come to a boil. And as it's starting to happen, I've got salt and pepper, kosher salt, ground black pepper, and all I'm doing is adding a couple pinches. There's 2, 3. 3 pinches of salt and pepper. And as I said in the video the other day, since we're cooking on the stove, salt and pepper to taste. Which means I want to taste this. Make sure it's not too salty. See if it needs more. Now go ahead. I added a little salt and a little pepper to it. That's good. Yeah, that's good. One more little pinch. Good luck. And that's it. All right, take a look. Come take a look. See this? See the boil? See the thickness? Done. Simple, easy gravy. Fantastic flavor. Oh boy. Whew. Now we can plate. All right. There, see? Whoa. See the steam still coming off even after resting for a while? How beautiful is that? Oh, I love it. Now, we are going to carve some pieces up and go ahead and plate this. Oh, I'm so excited. Let me show you how beautiful this is going to look on the inside. Look at that. It's just sliding right off. Isn't that beautiful? Now something like this, I want to show off the inside and at the same time make sure I have the gravy and the side dish and everything. So let's go ahead. I have some mashed potatoes made. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to place a little bit of the potatoes. Now watch. Look how that meat just sits. Whew. Isn't that beautiful? Now for something like this, we do not need a lot of the gravy. One final stir. And all I'm going to do is lay it across the top of the meat itself. And that's it. Can't let it go without a little color because, well, if you're watching these videos, you know how I feel about color. Fresh chopped parsley, a well-known personal favorite, just dropped on top. Done. How fantastic did that pork roast come out? It was simple, it was easy, and exactly like I said at the beginning, after we rubbed it with the spices, sprayed it with the olive oil, it went in the oven at 425 degrees for 15 minutes. As soon as that was done, dropped it down to 325, and then cook it for 25 minutes a pound, give or take, 25 minutes per pound. At 325. As soon as it hits 145 or higher, you're safe. Take it out, cover it and let it rest 15, 20 minutes. This one came out of the oven at, what did we say? 148 degrees. Let it rest for 20 minutes and look how beautiful it is in the middle. There's no pink in there at all. It's cooked. But the last thing it is dried out. How great is that? Super easy. Please let me know how this comes out. If and when you make it, please make it. Let me know how it is. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you haven't done so throughout the process already. Click that subscribe button, notifications, turn them on. Share the video with your friends. And enjoy your week. See you soon, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.